Tonight, I'm not just speaking. I'm making a declaration, one that has the power to change everything. Because somewhere out there, there is a woman who may not fully realize it yet, but her life is about to collide with mine in the most extraordinary way. And here's the part that will make you stay until the very end. This isn't just a love story. This is a mission that is already in motion. The ticket has been booked. The decision has already been made. There is no turning back. And by the time this message reaches its end, you'll understand why some journeys are not planned through logic. They are driven by something far more powerful: certainty. There comes a point in life when thinking too much becomes a limitation, when overanalyzing every step, waiting for the perfect moment, and constantly doubting yourself starts to feel like chains holding you back from something greater. I reached that point. I realized that if I kept waiting for the right time, I would miss the only time that truly matters: the present. So instead of calculating every risk, I made a move, a bold one. Because the future doesn't reward hesitation, it rewards action. And that's when I decided, I'm not waiting for love to find me anymore. I'm going toward it. People will say, this is crazy. They'll say, you can't just book a ticket and move towards someone who exists more in your thoughts than in your everyday life. But every breakthrough in history began with someone being called crazy. Every major step forward required a moment where logic stepped aside and belief took control. This isn't about being reckless. This is about having vision. I have seen a version of my life that includes her. And once you see something that clearly, you don't ignore it. You start building toward it. And let me tell you something about distance. It's not a barrier. It's a test of how serious you are about what you truly want. Anyone can stay where they are, remain comfortable, and hope that things somehow fall into place on their own. But not everyone is willing to cross miles, time zones, and uncertainty just to turn a possibility into something real. I am choosing to cross that distance. Because if something or someone is truly meant to be part of your future, then no amount of distance should be powerful enough to stop you. This journey is not just about reaching her. It's about becoming the version of myself that deserves her. Because love is not something you simply find. It's something you build, something you earn, something that grows stronger through courage. Booking that ticket wasn't just about travel. It was a commitment to growth, to stepping outside of comfort, and to proving that I am willing to go further than most people ever will. Because extraordinary connections require extraordinary actions. So yes, my future wife, I'm coming toward you, not because it's easy, not because it's guaranteed, but because it's worth it. And to everyone listening right now, remember this: the life you truly want is rarely found on the side of comfort. It exists on the other side of a decision that scares you, excites you, and pushes you into the unknown. Tonight, I made that decision. The ticket is booked. The journey has already begun. And the future is no longer something I'm waiting for. It's something I'm actively chasing. Tonight, I'm not just speaking. I'm making a declaration that changes everything. Somewhere out there, there is a woman whose life I'm about to enter in a way that cannot be undone. A collision of destinies that has been silently building for years. And I want you to stay with me, because this is not an ordinary story. This is a journey of courage, timing, and relentless pursuit. There's a ticket already booked, a flight prepared, and a momentum that cannot be stopped, one that is pulling me closer to her with every passing moment. And I want you to understand something, why this matters, not just to me, but as a principle of life itself. There are moments when hesitation becomes your biggest enemy, and boldness becomes the only currency that can turn possibility into reality. I reached that moment. That point where you realize that waiting for the perfect time is nothing but a trap. And the truth is, the perfect time has always been now. Too many people allow life to pass them by while they calculate, predict, overthink, and slowly convince themselves not to act on the very opportunities that require action the most. But action is the only force that actually moves the future forward. The ticket is booked because waiting carries a cost far greater than risk itself. It is the cost of regret, the weight of wondering what could have happened if only you had taken that step. I came to understand that if I continued to hesitate, I would never close the gap between where I am today and the future I am determined to build. And so I chose action. Clear, decisive, and unwavering. Even when logic and comfort tried to pull me back. There is a lesson here, one that goes far beyond love. Every major breakthrough in history, every innovation, every step forward began with someone who refused to wait for approval. Someone who was willing to step into the unknown because they trusted what they saw in their mind. People will call this impulsive. They will call it reckless. Some will even say it's impossible. But in reality, this is the only path that leads to something extraordinary. I am moving forward, not because it is easy, not because it is guaranteed, but because I understand that the most meaningful experiences in life demand courage. And courage is not something you calculate, it is something you live. And distance, in this situation, is not a barrier. It is a test that reveals whether your commitment to what truly matters is real or just an idea in your head. 9. And me. It is easy to remain where you are, to stay within what feels safe, to hold on to what is familiar, but I refuse to stay there. Comfort does not create destiny. And love, real love, is one of the few forces powerful enough to push you beyond your limits, to shape you into someone stronger, better, and more capable than you were before. So I'm taking that step, crossing the invisible line that separates thought from action. This is my decision, my declaration, my promise that nothing, not distance, not doubt, not time, will be strong enough to stop what is meant to happen. This is more than just a flight. It is the physical expression of vision, of determination, of a kind of fearlessness that transforms life from a series of chances into a deliberate pursuit of something greater. And by the time I reach her, it will not just be about closing a physical distance, it will stand as proof of conviction. The kind of certainty that has always driven history, innovation, and human connection forward. And in this moment, as I prepare to step onto that plane, everything feels different. The world feels both infinite and incredibly small at the same time. Because when you are chasing the life you truly want, everything else begins to fade away, leaving only the path you have chosen in front of you. People will say this is crazy. They will say you cannot simply make a decision, book a ticket, and travel across the world towards someone who exists more in your imagination than in your everyday life. They will question your logic, your timing, your priorities. They may even question your sanity. But I want you to understand this clearly. That is exactly why it matters. Because every meaningful achievement, every revolutionary idea, every leap that has ever changed the world began with a decision that looked crazy to those who only see the surface. They see the risk, but they fail to see the possibility. They see the jump, but they cannot see the vision behind it. That is the paradox of progress. The bigger the step, the louder the doubt from others. But hidden inside that doubt is proof that you are moving towards something worth chasing. I have spent years thinking about the moments in life that truly define us. The choices we make, the ones that truly matter, are the ones that shape everything, the decisions that define our path, and the actions that ultimately create our destiny. And I came to understand something very clearly. Hesitation destroys potential faster than failure ever could. When you keep waiting for guarantees, for perfect circumstances, for a flawless plan, life doesn't reward that mindset. It moves on without you. It leaves you behind. There is a kind of clarity that comes into your life when you finally understand what you want, and you decide that nothing else holds greater importance. For me, that clarity is her. She is the reason logic begins to bend, the reason calculations lose their meaning, the reason distance becomes just a number. And I am willing to face every unknown, every obstacle, every inconvenience, just to reach the point where possibility transforms into something real. To everyone listening right now, let me share something honest. Extraordinary results are never born from ordinary decisions. If you wait for certainty, you will wait forever. If you wait for permission, you will remain where you are. If you wait for everyone around you to understand, you will only delay your own life. But there is something important to recognize here, a difference that many people overlook, the difference between recklessness and vision. Recklessness ignores reality. Vision understands it. Vision observes, plans, and moves forward with intention, but it refuses to be frozen by fear or controlled by the opinions of others. Booking that ticket was not reckless, it was intentional. It was thought through, grounded, and driven by belief. I chose action because I can see what is possible, and once you truly see something, you cannot pretend it isn't there. Life demands risk if you want reward. And love, real love, is no different. Flying toward her is not just a decision, it is a statement to the world, but, more importantly, a statement to myself, that I will not allow inertia to control my life. And as the days continue to pass, as the moment draws closer, the distance begins to feel both massive and insignificant at the same time. Because the real journey is not measured in miles, it is measured in courage, in determination, in the willingness to follow what truly matters, even when the outcome is uncertain. And the lesson here is universal. Do not allow fear, doubt, or the expectations of society to stop you from pursuing what you know deep inside is meant to happen. The most powerful experiences in life demand bold steps, and sometimes everything begins with a single decision, one that both terrifies you and excites you at the same time. And I am taking that step. There comes a moment in life when distance stops being a challenge and starts becoming a test of whether you are willing to act on what matters or remain stuck in comfort. Too often, we underestimate the power of a single decision. We think life is built only through small gradual steps, when in reality, it is the leaps that define the direction. I reached that moment, the point where staying comfortable would have meant losing an opportunity that might never come again. The distance between us is not just physical, it is symbolic. It represents every fear, every doubt, every voice that says, wait, plan, think again. But I refuse to let those invisible limits define my path. Flying toward her is not just about covering miles. It is about crossing the line between possibility and certainty. The people around me will see a ticket booked, a flight scheduled, and they will look at this and call it bold, maybe even reckless. They will see it as something impulsive, something risky, but what they fail to recognize is everything that exists beneath the surface. The countless thoughts, the careful reflection, the deep understanding that this is not driven by impulse, but by the alignment of vision and action. This is not a sudden decision. This is a conscious one. Every major breakthrough in human history has required stepping beyond what once seemed impossible. The innovators, the pioneers, the leaders, they all reached a point where the gap between where they stood and where they wanted to be appeared too vast to cross. And yet, they moved forward anyway, and love, in its purest and most honest form, asks for that same level of boldness. It asks you to trade certainty for possibility, to choose action over hesitation and connection over isolation. And I am willing to take that step because I understand something important. The reward is not just reaching her. The reward is proving to myself and to the world that commitment is stronger than fear, that determination can rise above any obstacle, and that what truly matters cannot wait for convenience. I have spent time thinking deeply about time itself, about movement, about alignment, and I have come to realize that waiting for the perfect moment is often nothing more than an illusion. Life does not reward those who hesitate, it rewards those who decide, those who are willing to break away from the ordinary in order to achieve something extraordinary. Flying toward her is not just a journey measured in miles. It is a journey built on principles. It is a statement that, when you recognize what belongs in your future, you do not delay, you act. And in taking that action, something changes within you. You evolve. You grow. You become ready for the life you are stepping into. This is not about being a hero, and it is not about making grand gestures for the sake of appearance. This is about integrity. It is about aligning your actions with your intentions. It is about refusing to let invisible barriers, like fear, doubt, or the opinions of others, stop you from turning vision into reality. And as I get closer to that flight, I can feel everything coming together. Time, distance, purpose. Every mile I travel will not only bring me closer to her physically, but it will also represent something deeper. The breaking of hesitation, the confirmation of clarity, the expression of courage that refuses to accept delay. This is the essence of ambition, applied to something deeply personal, and that is exactly why this journey matters. Not only to me, but as a reminder of what happens when vision meets action, and when you choose to follow what you know cannot be ignored. This journey is not just about distance or logistics, it is about transformation. It is about becoming the version of yourself that is worthy of the life, the connection, and the love you are chasing. Because when you commit to something that truly matters, the pursuit itself begins to change you in ways comfort never could. Every obstacle, every moment of uncertainty, every doubt that crosses your mind becomes a force that drives growth. I am moving toward her not just to close a physical distance, but to cross a boundary of personal transformation. I am stepping away from what is familiar, leaving behind routines and comfort zones that make life predictable, and choosing to embrace the unknown with complete focus. Because the unknown is where possibility exists. The unknown is where extraordinary moments are created. The unknown is where you prove to yourself that vision without action is nothing more than imagination. And when you are connected to someone whose presence shifts your world, even before they know it, the unknown stops feeling like fear and starts feeling like attraction. It pulls you forward with a force that cannot be ignored. I have spent years thinking about ambition, about progress, about what separates those who achieve from those who only dream. And I've come to realize the same principle applies to human connection. If you choose to wait for comfort, for alignment, for conditions that feel perfect, you may never reach something extraordinary. But when you decide to act, to step outside of comfort, and to use discomfort as a tool for growth, then suddenly the extraordinary becomes possible. Booking that ticket